What's going on, everybody? It's Austin, aka More Than an Agent, and in this particular case, I do want to talk about the shifts that we're seeing in today's market, especially in New Jersey. And it's very, very interesting because it's a shift, and we'll talk about it on the single-family end and the multifamily end. What we're seeing, what I'm noticing, because prices are definitely being adjusted, but not for your starter homes. I'm not really catching that or seeing that as consistent as, say, your step-up home, your second home, your big boy, your big girl home, the homes in which, maybe families are starting to grow, and you have 4 or 5 bedrooms, 3 baths for the family to be able to enjoy. The second home, those step-up homes, the upgrade homes, those are the homes that I'm kind of seeing a little bit more on the market. And the reason why, if you think about it, right, when the highest interest rate, when you're going from a 3.5, 2.5 interest rate up to 7, which eventually we might see 8, I wouldn't be surprised. Feds are going to meet again and they're probably going to hike it again, but these are the things that are going on. But that impact is going to be felt on a $600,000, $700,000, or $800,000 property, especially as a single family where it's not like generating income per se. But you're going to feel that a lot more than your starter homes that you're still getting into for 3, 4, and maybe 450 or so, and some change. But that's to say that it's going to affect obviously the higher priced properties a lot more with the highest interest rates, right? So that's what I'm seeing on the single family end, especially just with us going into the colder season. A lot of properties that are sticking onto the market, they're sticking onto the market, and then they're also having a lot more price adjustments. So something to be conscious about. And especially if sellers get in a position where they need to sell, have to go, maybe they're going through a job transfer, maybe they inherited the property, maybe they, have to get, into the next city by, whatever day. But if there is extreme motivation from the sell side, then at least you'll be able to use that to your advantage, at least in this particular market environments, right? So that's a single family, owner-occupied type of property, right? For my multifamily individuals, luckily, the issue is not so much the price, ironically. So with the single family end, prices are too high, quote unquote. The issue with the multifamily end is that prices have risen so drastically. Property values have risen so drastically over the course of the past few years that the rents were never able to keep up with that. So even with these income producing properties, the issues with multifamily is just the fact that 2 things. 1, we're either finding tenants that have been in the property for a while and obviously are paying way under market value, or 2, the tenants that are there, they're paying slightly under market value, but the reality is just the fact that you won't be able to make a profit because you have to increase their rent by so much, right? So in those examples, it's hard for investors or for individuals to be able to pull the trigger because they realize that either they're still going to be owing money on the property or they just simply can't cash flow. And for my FHA buyers, we're running into another issue where we are struggling with the FHA self-sufficiency rule, which states that if you're buying a property 3 units or more, in this case FHA, you're only able to buy 3 or 4 units. You can't go beyond 4 units. But it simply says that whatever the mortgage payment is, 75% of the rents that come in, like gross rents, including if you're not there, 75% of the gross rents has to cover that mortgage. If it doesn't, then unfortunately, you can't purchase the property. It's not about whether you're qualified for the purchase of the property. It's not about if the property is worth the price that you're looking to pay. It's just about what is the property producing in income, which, like I said, as far as prices rising a little bit too quickly for the rents to be able to catch up, now we run into the issue where the properties are not making as much money. So that forces us to, search for properties that maybe are vacant, going to be vacant, fully rehabbed, completely distressed, and then you have a little bit more control over the project, but obviously that comes with managing the project and so on and so forth. But all that to say that on both levels, both single family and multifamily, that there's still a plethora of transactions that are going on. There's still a plethora of deals that are getting closed. There's still a plethora of people that are finding their dream home. There's still a plethora of people that are finding that next investment property as a step up in their wealth creation. And what I want individuals to realize is just the fact that the reason why it's always going to be a good time to buy, and I say this all the time, the reason why it's always a good time to buy is because there's always a reason why there's always a reason why it's not a good time to buy, right? So previous years, and even if we take it back to 2008, which obviously everybody from my generation is now able to comprehend, real estate just from a wealth creation aspect of it. But taking it all the way back to 2008, in 2009 and 2010, when the market crashed, people said it wasn't a good time to buy, right? And I'm pretty sure we all know now that that was the best time to buy, right? Past 2008, all of a sudden, 2012, 15, 16, oh, the market's heating up, the market's going to crash. It's not a good time to buy, right? Now people that are shopping in this market realize that that was also a good time to buy. Fast forward to 2020, COVID happens. Oh my God, this crash is definitely going to happen. Definitely. The world shut down, this virus going around, people are dying, it's madness, the housing market is definitely going to crash. And what happened? Property values went up. So everybody that's searching now, and mind you, that's the property values. Property values went up and the interest rates were the lowest, historically the lowest. But it wasn't a good time to buy. And now everybody's shopping now, they realize how much of a good time it was to buy. But Austin, prices are completely inflated, interest rates are completely crazy. Like, this definitely can't be like the proper time to buy. Well, the reality is that I've never met any individual. Now, mind you, real estate, don't go into it ignorantly, naively, because we understand that we are buying closer to the top. Like we are at a market peak, all-time high, so on and so forth. So we understand that. And we understand that fundamentally. Or if not, then we understand that fundamentally now. Which is why I have individuals focus, for my single family buyers, I have individuals focus on the monthly payment. If you focus on the monthly payment, you do know that in the long run, real estate will always catch up just due to inflation in general, as we're seeing now, but this is more of a hyperinflationary kind of period that we're trying to cool off from. But you see what happens with inflation. Property's value is not the same as it was in the 1930s. That's just the reality. 1940s, 1950s, 70s, so on and so forth. So it's always, and I've never met an individual, or at least like from a wealth perspective, you know the saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. But if you didn't do that, that's okay. Because the best time to do that is now, right? In old age, saying just still remains true, like to this, like as far as the principle of wealth building and so on and so forth. But this is a wealth building thing. If you're doing it for living expenses, then just rent. Just rent. If you're doing it just for living expenses, then just rent. The moment that you choose to own a home, you're now turning your living expense into an investment opportunity. No matter what, single family, multifamily, so on and so forth. But the moment that you decide to sign on the dotted line for 30 years that you're going to pay this particular amount for the next 30 years, you've now got to realize that this is more of an investment decision. Otherwise, you might as well rent. You don't have to worry about being upside down, like as far as value. So that way, if you had to sell, if you had to move, you can just get out, and the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to lose your security deposit. But when you own a home, it's a lot more severe. When you're upside down, it's a lot more severe. So all that to say that we are not being ignorant, we're not being naive to purchasing at all-time highs. But we're focusing on the number that matters the most, which is that monthly payment. And that's either, for my single-family buyers, that's either going to be a monthly payment that makes it comfortable for you to live in your house and in the long run see your return play out. And then for the multifamily investors, that monthly mortgage payment is going to be the difference between whether you can cash flow or not cash flow, and by how much, or by losing by how much. All right? So don't pay attention to what's going on in the market. Let that guide your actions, so you have the education and the knowledge, but don't let it dictate your decisions. Humans we're not very, very good emotionally. Like, once emotion becomes involved, all the logic goes out the window. And if you've learned nothing, especially with today's video, you've seen in previous times, for the past 15 to 20 years, and I say that because, like I said, like, I'm 33, so our generation is now catching on to like just real estate and what that means, right? Obviously, everybody that's a lot older than us, you've seen it for the past 50, 60 years. But the reality is that history will prove itself over and over that real estate, I'm not talking about commercial, you don't hear me talking about like retail, strip malls, mobile home parks, industrial, you don't hear me speaking about nothing commercial on that end. That's not my expertise. The only commercial I've referred to is multifamily. And the reality is that real estate, residential and multifamily, still remain one of the most stable investments and wealth building opportunities that remain amongst all the asset classes. And when playing it right, can be extremely beneficial. So keep that in mind. Make sure to click that link in bio. Let's get your journey started, whether you're looking to buy, whether you're looking to sell. For my sellers, obviously you're just going to have to, in this particular case, you're going to have to place, your actions above the curve, especially with these rising interest rates. But we'll save it for the sellers on another particular video. But click that link in bio, get your journey started. Start off on the right foot. Let's get you pre-approved. And there's still plenty of opportunities that are out there, without a doubt. All right?